Thumbnail. Hello, hi, and welcome to Real Cork, I guess. My name's Patrick. I don't guess, like it is Real Cork, but I guess this is the introduction today. Um, so I've been wanting, I finally cracked open my last bottle of mead. I guess that's interesting. Um, so I got a bottle of Blackberry Merlot a long time ago. I was actually gonna buy another bottle, but then I was like, there's some stuff I can finish, so I'm gonna wait until I clear out the fridge and then I'll stock back up. But anyway, I've had that bottle for so long, and I finally drank it. I finally opened it and finished it. I've had this bottle for even longer. Back when I was feeling the need for mead, and I just cracked this open. There was a maintenance request that I put in to get, like, there was a screw that protruded from a door handle, so if you weren't careful and you like went to grab it, it would could use a little lotion, but it's fine. It would like get you. And they were like, hey, yeah, don't know if you're back from London yet, but just wanted to let you know we're gonna have somebody come and fix it. Like from months ago. And so I guess it's catching up. But since it's me, you can actually see, you can read below the P. It's alumni. Hey, Holly, how you doing? I hope everyone had a lovely Christmas if you celebrate, is having, and has been having, and did have a lovely holiday if you celebrate any holiday during this time. As we conclude 2023. So today I wanted to drink a little mead, eat a little cake. Most of the cake is already gone, honestly. I don't know why. It's today's celebration. Could be. Um, I also realized within the past week, it was a very subtle realization that with my special project, I've already received a significant amount of information just based off of the long reading that I've been doing for years now. And it kind of hit me. I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh. And then yesterday, because like I said, it's been a slow realization. So I've like realized it. And then like, I don't do anything with it. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. And then I'll realize it again. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool. But last night, I realized, or the next part of it, I was like, oh, see, I knew it when I didn't even know that I knew it. So that's been interesting. Also, there was something else I was going to mention, but I forgot. Today is going to be, oh, it's the full moon today. I was going to say today is going to be inconsequential, but everything I do is inconsequential. I won't say it's insignificant, but I will say it's inconsequential because what will be will be. What will happen will happen. Regardless, not to be nihilistic or anything, you know. I'm like loving this cake. I guess my mom and the fam did not like it. I took half of it. I love it. Okay. Now I gotta throw this away. I didn't necessarily plan for that. I'm using OBS today, so I can do this. I'll be right back. Welcome back, third-party software, guys. But yeah, I've realized that even though today I don't necessarily have to like black the screen. Not that I ever do, but I don't know. I guess that I feel like, I could keep it rolling. Why not? I know, right? Very Cindy. Very, very Cindy. But I have the cake and I love wine. So I was like, I'm going to pull a page from her book today. Well, not intentionally. I was just in bed, like, if I go live, obviously. And I was like, I want to open up the mead. And then I was like, oh, I have that cake. Because I haven't eaten yet. So I need to put something on my stomach, right? So why not cake? ¿Por qué no pastel? Right? Is that why not cake? ¿Por qué no la pastel? It would be la pastel, would be el pastel, I'm pretty sure. But ¿por qué no pastel? Oh, it already fixed. Okay, so I guess this is going to be a Patrick general. That's why it's like inconsequential, insignificant. Well, I guess I'd said that I wouldn't say it's insignificant, but it's going to be inconsequential. Excuse me, because it might be more like me, Some would argue that everything that I do is me. You made cinnamon rolls yesterday? A nice warm cinnamon roll. I'm not just wearing them. Can I just like not see them? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to use OBS and I'm going to have my glasses today because I feel like I haven't been having my glasses. And I'm like, where did I put them? Hello? I guess I don't need them. We'll see. We shall see. And I'm going to be using the SKT Revelations because honestly, I feel like it's not that I don't use this deck enough, but I use the Vitruvian edition so solely and intently and like dove into it so intentionally, I guess, that like I really like it's definitely one of my top 3 favorite decks. And the Revelations edition, like I also love it. I feel like I haven't gotten to learn why I love it as much as I do, So also I notice how like sometimes my time will freeze. Like it's been 7:33 and now it's 7:38. It was 7:33 for 5 seconds before it hit 7:38. And I was watching the beginning of that last video back and it was jumpy. It was jumpy. I was like, I don't know if it's jumpy when I'm live, but the one thing I'll say though, I feel like mead has such a subtle sweetness that like the cake almost makes it less sweet. Like there's still an element to it that's very smooth that I love, but it's almost like I just flooded my taste buds with sugar. So now the subtlety of mead is diminished. Not lost, but diminished. Breakfast. LOL. I've received keys to this already. I'm wearing a key necklace. I've received them already. I'm like, what? Right. My bishoping cake. I thought I like slipped it into my pocket. But I think I did take them off when I had to use a corkscrew because this wasn't twisty top wine. And I was holding the wings down and also twisting. So it just like bored a hole into the cork. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Fortunately, though, it didn't go so deep into the cork that there wasn't more cork for me to actually like remove it. Because I guess I would have been sipping through a hole in the cork like a hamster in the water bottle in the cage. But fortunately, I realized my mistake. I'm so like wine illiterate. Like somebody had to, because in this, like, I feel like every time I've seen somebody use or open up a bottle of wine, they use the same cork to cork it. And I was trying to put it back and it would never fit. So I was like, obviously, that's a myth of the media. And then somebody came over and they were like, oh, you have to turn it upside down. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So now I know. Now I am aware. Ooh. All right, let's go. How many cards for Patrick? Ooh, let's pull a spread for Patrick. Do I want to pull one of those spreads? I don't have my glasses. I don't have my glasses. Let's see. Let's see if Benabel gave us some spreads. I'm pretty sure she did. There's actually a spread in the Oracle Cards and Activators, Magical Dimensions, that I want to use because the page of whoever came out that was Awaken the Brilliance, or is that an ace of whatever? I think that's an ace. That's Awaken the Brilliance. Oh, and I actually have a wine stopper. It's very dusty. It needs to be cleaned. It was left in the rubble of my room, and I found it in the same box that I found this necklace and these earrings. I bought one before I learned about corks. That's like, what would I like for Christmas next year? I don't know. I'm actually going to double these up. Is this going to be collective? Let's see. If Google says heads, it'll be for me. If Google says tails, I'll make it collective because I can't decide. But the way I want to do this is like it's a lot of cards for me. We'll see. Hey, Google, flip a coin.
You got heads.
Google said, I hope you woke up and you're ready to be read because it's about you. You had it right. Okay, fine. Is this my 2024? Is this my 2023? Is this just like me in general? You know, I'm going to go find my glasses. I'll be right back. Enjoy the scenery of me walking away. This is how you Eight of Cups. I took my glasses off when I put my earrings on. So that's why. You can see the key. My consent is high. Okay. All right, I'm back. Welcome back, me. Welcome back, you. Welcome back, we. Let's see what's up. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. I'm like, right? I was like, thanks, camera. Camera said, we know how concerned you are about your butt crack. So we'll blur the video, just in case. Thanks, camera. So today's a full moon. There's a few spreads in here. Keys of Heaven and Earth. I don't know if I've ever done this one. We're going to, because I'm using the SKT, it'll also give us a I Ching hexagram. I was going to do the star key formation, but Flicker, Spark, Ignite, Blaze, Shine, Radiate, and Brilliance. And then there's the half moon key formation. It's also interesting because the SKT refers to the majors as keys. Um, and they're referred to as keys. The cards are referred to as keys here. Or I could do keys of the bridge, but that's like past, present, future. Our present, lesson, future. That one, not so much. I think I'm going to do those keys of heaven and earth. And maybe I'll do a few of them. Maybe I won't, but maybe I will. Oh, I mentioned keys. Duh, because I'm wearing a key. So yeah, this was a good choice. We are in alignment with whatever. I was like, I should have got more cake. I went into the kitchen. I was like, I should get more cake. It's fine. I can have cake later. The Keys of Heaven and Earth. This is from Light Star, Magical Dimensions, Oracle Cards, and Activators. There's a spread. There's a few spreads that she gives, and we're doing this one. So, Keys of the One. Ooh, they get more and more intriguing the less keys there are. The Keys of Heaven and Earth is a very powerful layout, providing insights into the messages Spirit is trying to relay from both heaven and earth, also referred to as Father and Mother. This blends both spirit and the physical worlds together beautifully. So as you shuffle the deck, you can ask, what do heaven and earth have to share with me this day? Intuitively choose 2 cards from the deck. Key 1 is heaven and key 2 is earth. Don't anticipate what you think the cards should be. Either placement may be the opposite of what you might expect. Look at the messages from the perspective of how Father Sky and Mother Earth are trying to expand your perceptions and create more balance and unity with one another. Kirsty, hi. I was like, what? 80s Ghostbusters? I have seen the 80s Ghostbusters. I think I've seen, isn't there like 3 of them? I might have seen 2. We had them at my dorm, and I had a dream about it wasn't dorm life, but it was dorm life. These aren't my 2 keys, but interesting. Herald of the Waters, the bereaved and the haunt. The bereaved and the haunt is interesting because, being haunted by something or someone that we're mourning, I'm mourning, I guess this is the personal part of the video. We just saw the Herald of the Waters. But like with the Herald of the Waters, it feels like there's like this beckoning energy. Like from the other side of the veil, someone, whatever is associated with this haunt, I guess, is like calling. It's like through mirrors, through the other side of the veil. And it's playing, don't you forget about me. So we have Saturn in Libra, trine Mars in Gemini. I don't know which direction this is coming from, though, which is interesting. Because I feel like from the Isis point of view, this would be like Isis especially after she's assembled the body of Osiris, like Isis calling into the underworld, like, come back, my love, type energy, right? For his soul to be able to find its vessel, his body. This is the 9 of Swords. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I found them. This is almost hell, but there's an extra line. Like between Hagal, I think Hagal is like 1 line, hell is 2 lines, but there's like 3. So like there's this 3 of Swords diagonal and the 3 of Swords here. And because there's this like Four of Wands, Four of Swords energy, because it's like it's these four. So there's this 1111, these three swords, and then there's two swords that are like the foundation, right? The Two of Swords has been coming through as minor high priestess lately. There's this gateway of tranquility with the Four Swords and the Four of Wands configuration, but they're barred by the Three of Swords. What's interesting is that it's not like a crosshatch type, it's unidirectional. They're all going in the same way. And I guess for me personally, I've been coming to, I don't know if like realization is a strong word, 'Tis the season. Realization is like it's been a lot of soft, I say soft realizations because I'll have like an epiphany and then I'll be like, oh my gosh. And then I'll like start playing a video game. I'm like, okay, cool. Or like I'll turn on Netflix or I'll start watching anime, right? But I guess it's been this slow realization over the past maybe month or so and change. In the past month and change, where there was a part of me that felt that, no, it's been longer than that, actually. Oh my gosh, I know what this is. I'm pretty sure I told Reem about this. But there was this, I guess, feeling that I had to find. Patrick is so Patrick. Like, I am so me in the most ridiculous of ways sometimes. Like, there's a part of me that was like, I have to find everything that I want before I enter the next era of my life. And then there was another part of me. Yeah, it was like all of me. It was the upper majority of me. Eve, hello. How art thou? Enjoying the last of your days off, I hope. There's a part of me that thought that, like, there are some things that I know is for me, right? So, like, let's say, for example, like a certain amount of abundance, right? Like, I know that a certain amount of abundance is for me in life, but like, I'm not partnered up yet. And so there's a part of me, the relationship sector is weird for me because there was a part of me for a long time that knew that I wouldn't be healthy in relationships. So I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to pursue one. And then that kind of like, there was a bow put on that a little bit in this past week, in a way, in a very exaggerated. I wonder if that's my pattern. I feel like sometimes there are some things for me that have to be so exaggerated in order for me to like see it or get it. Because if it's more subtle, I'll just brush it off. If it's subtle, then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool. But when it's exaggerated, it like sticks. It's the drama, whatever. But it's like, I don't want to come into the abundance that is for me before I come into partnership. But I also don't want to come into partnership until I've finished up my self-toxicity because I don't want to ooze and bleed and spew on somebody that I love, especially in a romantic way. Also in a familial platonic way, but especially in a romantic way. Like family, like they're stuck with me. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess they aren't because, they could be like, you know what, we're done. But like family is one thing, but when it comes to like partners, like I was like, I don't want to do that to someone that I love in that capacity. I don't want to do that to anyone that I love, but let alone in that capacity. And so there was a part of me that avoided it for that. But then it was like, I want to find it before I come into the abundance because I don't want somebody to get with me for like my money or for all of these other things. So a lot of But within the past month and change, right? Within the past month and change, there's been a slow realization or a question. Because sometimes things to me will be asked in question because Patrick is Patrick, and Patrick doesn't always like to be told, you know? And like sometimes Patrick likes to figure it out. Sometimes Patrick doesn't want to be told what to do. Sometimes Patrick just is like, Patrick is Patrick. And the divine knows Patrick, and Patrick knows Patrick. So when some things happen, Patrick has the capacity sometimes to be like, okay, like, was it a little extreme? Was it over the top? Did it have to be all of that? No, but also yes, because I am me. So I get it. um, but it was just like, what if some of that happens after? Or like, what if it happens all at once? But more so, it was like, I feel like I've been so focused on this era of my life that I wasn't necessarily open to everything that the next era has to unfold, if that makes sense. Like maybe like there are certain things that I thought would be in my before, but it was maybe a few months ago at this point, but a month and change. Um, it's been like this, like, whoa, like, wait, what if like some of the other stuff that I want is actually in this next era? Like, what if there are things waiting for me there that won't find me here because of the environment and the situation and the circumstances? Speaking of the half moon key, going back to circumstances, um, and so now again, it's like with this Three of Swords unidirectionally blocking this Four of Swords, Four of Wands portal with the Two of Swords pre-High Priestess, and then this person on the other side holding the light, like, and then that, excuse me, and then the Three of Swords being like this Isis bereaved, like, come to the other side, my love, type of energy here. I'm like, oh, and then this is the part where like Patrick gets his act together and he's like, okay, so we're going full steam ahead, you know, type energy. Interesting. Potentially, but it has been something like, because I had a dream. I know I sent a voice note to Reem, but I don't even remember what the dream was. But I had a dream that my mother, who wasn't my mother, like it was mother energy, but it like didn't wear the face of my mom, if that makes sense. Like I was laying in bed and she was like there's like a corner. So like there's this little hallway and then it opens up into my bedroom. So she was like at the corner, kind of like peeping over. And I was like, hey. And then my brother came up to me, like came up to my bedside and it was like, oh, I want to show you this, like typical little brother stuff. Like, hey, older brother, here's something that's really cool that I found now. I'm like, oh, wow. I was like, well, that is actually pretty cool. And so it's almost like this, but it's less like hands in my head, like more just like I was in bed and she came in. Oh my gosh, is that? Anyway, it's fine. Um, and the most surprising part was my brother showing up. Like that's the thing that caught me the most off guard. Because I was like, I've had dreams of like mothers who don't wear the face of my mother before. Like that's not anything new. But to see a brother and then for them to me almost represent like the people that I've yet to meet or the connections that I've yet to form that exist on the other side of this transformation, like And then it's like, I don't want friends or lovers who are going to use me for my money. So it was so many weird, like I said, just it's like, okay, so under what conditions are you actually able to receive any of the things that you're asking for? Basically none, which is why. Oh, hey Tish, hey David, how are y'all doing today? So it's been like, and then I was talking to my journey buddy a few days ago, Christmas Eve, I think. Yeah, it was Christmas Eve. Um, and I was, because she was telling me about some of the stuff that she's been going through, and I was telling her about some of the same. And lately it's been heavy. It's like the weight of realization and the weight of circumstances hasn't decreased, but our relative fitness has significantly increased. So we're better able to like handle and manage the weight, basically. But it's also been for me a lot of very subtle yet still powerful realizations, but they don't like rock me the way that they used to. They don't make my mind go and then I have to pick up the pieces over days or a day. Now it's just like, oh, okay. And then I keep going. It's like, oh, that's cool. And it's like, okay. Because, I keep declaring I don't need the dramatics. I don't need for things to be so extreme. I don't need to learn through difficulty anymore. Like, let me learn through pleasantries. Like, let me just have a really good experience and be like, oh, wow. So this is what I deserve, instead of like a not as savory experience. And it's like, well, I my self-worth may not be 10 million bucks, but I know I deserve more than this, type of energy. I was like, I can learn from like billions. So stop giving me cents. Stop giving me change. And then it's like, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Anyway. Um, but yeah, so and then she mentioned like it's because things are like shifting and transmuting and like changing. And so that's why it's still incredibly like potent. Cause I was like, it feels like it's getting, I forget what I said exactly. Um, but I was like, I feel like it's getting softer, but it's not losing in potency. Like it's still potent. It just isn't as striking or um, out of left field or whatever. And she said, it's like, oh, it's because it's like transmuting, it's changing. And I was like, oh, because I feel like that gives it's like it's framed in a way that for some reason when she said it, it just made sense. I can force fix the focus now because I'm using OBS. But when she said it, it hit in a way that made sense, but it made a kind of sense that it never had before. But maybe that's also because, like, throughout the course of my journey, there have been moments when, like, I've mostly healed something or I've healed something. And then it's like, when it comes back up, it's more like a reminder than, it's like, oh, you felt this. Let's reintroduce it. It's just like, hey, like you already know what to do because life is life and it's going to continue to be life in a way. I have so little left. But when she said that, it was just like, maybe it's because it's happening in so many areas and aspects of my life now. Or maybe it's because there are some of the deeper things. It's like the healing has penetrated to the depths. And it's because life has been what life has been, that I'm in the position that I am open to what I'm open to, that I'm seeking what I'm seeking, and that I'm in a space to really receive things. It's kind of like all of the big stuff has been dealt with. Most of the big stuff that I'm aware of has been dealt with. And now it's like it's these little things, but it's almost like it's coding in a program. Um, like sometimes it's not a huge glaring error. Sometimes it's like you used a less than sign rather than a greater than sign, or you forgot a semicolon somewhere. So that line never terminated and the program never moved on to the next command that you gave it. Like sometimes it's very, very subtle, but it has very seemingly sometimes disproportionate impacts on the functioning as a whole, right? Like when it seems more appropriate and less disproportionate, like when you really get into it. But it's like if you have 10 pages of code and there's like one little thing that you're missing, it could be easy to be like, I don't understand how this one little thing and all of this perfection caused such a catastrophic error. But again, like when it's like, oh, the line didn't terminate, so it never moved on. So that's why it's like if you're making a loop, like a for loop, while loop, if loop, whatever loop, it's like it keeps running because the condition is never satisfied. Because it's like, again, maybe you used a less than sign rather than a greater than sign. And so it just runs ad nauseum or ad infinitum. It's just like running, 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 never terminates. And then you're like, oh, that's why. And sometimes, I've had a few coding classes. Sometimes you got to put those print statements everywhere. You got to print because, like, when you're running the program, you don't necessarily want it to tell you what it's doing at every single step. But it's good for catching an error because you can see, okay, it executed this, it executed that. It's like where's like it doesn't move past that execution, and so like, oh, that's where the problem is. So anyway, it just hit in a way that it hadn't before. So I guess this is where I am sort of generally, and also like I don't know. It's been a very enlightening. I feel like, yeah, it's been a very enlightening few months. Like last year, I feel like was more the year before last, especially was more like because that's when I got that job. I got my last job. It was my first year post cataract surgery. So it was like, okay, like let's test these babies out. Let's see what I can do. And then that year ended with like, okay, you've gotten comfortable with being able to do the things that you could do before, but now let's get into the territory of things that you couldn't do before because you were running a different pair of eyes. And that scared me. I remember that night, it was like it had echoes of my darkest night. It was before Thanksgiving 2021. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I'm scared. I'm afraid. I want to run away. I want to quit. But I was like, I can try. And I had like a very, very robust and healthy support system. And I was a part of that because of the way that I had lived my life and navigated my journey. I was able to receive it at the very least. And I was like, you know what? I can at least try. I can at least try. And if it doesn't work, I can quit later. It worked. And like I've already said, I'm glad I didn't quit because if I would have quit that job and then took this one, if I wouldn't have been able to do that, there's no way. There's no way I would have been able to do this. And then that spiral would have created an abyss, girl. It probably would have destroyed me. And I'm like, I haven't felt anything like this since I started, like since my darkest night. It has not been this scary. It has not been this dark. I forgot how dark it can be. But just like a happy little capacitor, I had stockpiled enough light within myself to be like, okay, at least I'll try. So these are, I don't know what they're called, but they're like an Indian wafer snack. Let me see if I can find a whole one. Well, this is a piece of one. I forget what they're made out of. I don't think it's lentils, but my friend gave them to me. So that was last year, or that was 2021. And then 2022 was like even farther out. And it was like now you are comfortable in your daily life, including the parts that were a little scary. Let's move into the future. And for the beginning of the year, I was like doing stuff and I'm learning all these lessons. And I'm like, okay, I might be like procrastinating a little bit here or there. There may be things that I know I need to do that I haven't done because I don't want to be confrontational and I don't want to be a source of conflict or whatever. But at the same time, I am not going to put up